Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Testing Mini Bytes. I'm your friend Amudan Shaktivel, and in this video we're gonna see about a quick recap about what we have discussed in the previous video, and then we'll head on to our code refactoring. Good. And in this previous video, we have seen about what is open closed principle. It is one of the solid principles that is commonly used in programming world, and this is often ignored in test automation. I don't know why, but we should try to use this particular one so that it reduces your maintenance efforts. Again, this principle states if there is a functionality or a class, normally it should be extensible. Okay, you should not uh, go and modify an existing class to add a new functionality. Okay, whenever there is a new functionality coming in, okay, you have to extend it. Okay, you should not go and try and modify the existing classes. Okay, when you try and modify the existing classes, there are a lot of chances that you can make a mistake. So that's what we are trying to avoid with the help of interface and abstract classes, right? We have discussed about that in detail in the last video. If you haven't watched it, please do watch that. And we also understood when to use inheritance. Okay, inheritance should not be used for code reuse. Okay, if there is a real need and then there is a real inheritance relationship between your parent and child class, then only go for inheritance. Okay, never ever use inheritance for code reusability. Okay, suppose I see people using, okay, directly they have some util class. Okay, selenium actions utils, they have something like this, and from test layer they are extending that particular class. Okay, what is the relationship between your selenium action utils and your test layer? There is no inheritance relationship. Okay, if you have a confusion when should I use this, okay, try to replace your parent with your child. Okay, let's assume a dog is an animal. Okay, I can or the dog is substitutable for your animal, right? So whenever there is a real inheritance, then only use it. Okay, don't use for code reusability. Good. And also don't keep code that you may need in future. Okay, I have seen people, okay, now this is not needed, they write comments. Okay, I have written this code because it might be needed in future. Don't keep this code in the code base. Okay, you keep it somewhere else. Okay, uh, maybe it never comes. Okay, whatever the code that you have written may never come. Okay, so don't keep all the unnecessary codes or all your commented codes in the code base. That's not a good approach. Remove them. Okay, keep it somewhere else, or you should be in a position to write those code again. Okay, there is no looking back. Good. Now without wasting much time, let's get into the IntelliJ, and we'll try to optimize this piece of code. As we know, okay, we are cleaning up the base test, and in the base test we have only this property file that is causing a lot of problems. So what we have done is we have created an interface that that has a method called get values. It can be replaced at get config. Okay, see guys, I'm trying to think about good names, and whenever I feel the better name is there, I'm just trying to change them, right? Good. And whenever this interface defines the skeleton for all the implementing classes. Okay, whatever operation you do, at the end of the day you give me back framework properties, and framework properties basically has three variables for now. So if you add more values to the property files, you have to add more things here, right? And again, this might look really complicated because every time you add it, you need to modify your constructor, you need to modify your getter methods and all the stuff. Maybe in those cases you can also use Lombok. So what I do, I add a Lombok, so it helps me basically to generate. Okay, I'm using code templates. If okay, live templates from IntelliJ. So I have already configured this. I have covered this in the previous video. If you haven't watched that, please do watch that. So I have added the Lombok. What it does is, okay, I'll remove all these things. Okay, I just need a okay, at the rate getter. I want getter for all the instance variables. I also want no argument constructor. I also want all argument constructor. Okay, so now I remove all these things. Okay, good. Now even though I removed this code still exists. Okay, there is a constructor which is having all these three fields. There is a default constructor, and there is also getter methods for all these fields, right? If you don't know how to do this, just go here, click on dlombok, and then you can go and check whatever you want to do. Suppose let's say I want to see what this getter annotation does. Okay, the getter annotation is now removed, and it has basically replaced with three getter methods. Okay, so yeah, if you want to dlombok your code and then see what's happening, you can do that as well. Okay, I have covered this in a detailed video in my YouTube playlist. You can go and watch that, right? So now when there is a new frame, config that is getting added, you can just add it here. Okay, you don't have to touch, add a new getter method, add a new constructor, all those things. No, everything will be taken care by Lombok. Now this is fine. In JSON, we didn't have the implementation yet, and we are hard coding this value, but we'll try to optimize this with the real values, right? Before that, I don't know why they have kept this configuration here. So what I do, I also created one config.json for us to implement the behavior. So what we'll do first, let's cut it, okay, and keep it in the right place. Okay, it should not be here. Once this is done, okay, let's go to the src test resources. I create a new directory here. I want the resources, and inside resources, I can basically create a folder called as config. Inside that, you can basically put them. Okay, so basic puts. So if you notice, I have properties, so JSON file. This is for demo purpose. Anyway, in your framework, you'll have only one. Okay, either you have JSON or YAML or properties, only one. Okay, so for now, this is demonstration purpose. I will remove it later. Okay, we'll try to see whether it works or not. Okay, good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace this all code with the real code. Okay, we're gonna, at the end of the day, we want to return framework properties. That's our intention, but we want to provide an implementation. Okay, there are a lot of chances. First, you can use owner library to do the mapping, but that's a little tricky to do with the open close principle. We'll come to that later. And but for now, what I'm thinking is I'll just show you guys how this open close principle, how we can do the implementation. Okay, there is one library called as Jackson data formatter. Okay, Jackson data formatter, which can help you to map your properties to Java Pojo. Okay, I can also use this. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll go to the pom.xml, and then I also have that. Okay, so I just need to type Jackson. Okay, Jackson. I have Jackson as well as I need Jackson props as well. So Jackson. See guys, this live code template will be really helpful. Okay, you don't have to go and search for all these things again and again. Okay, so I'm still in the IDE doing code much faster than before. Okay, so try to leverage all these things in your while you are coding. Okay, good. So let me go there, and here I'll use this. Okay, I think there is a class called Java props. Props manager. Okay, really guys, I don't know really what is the class name that we need to use. So what I do, see, I'm not a robot to memorize all the classes. So let's go and use converting program using Jackson. Okay, we'll use this, and let's try to check what is the class name they are using, because I really forgot about it. Yeah, Java props mapper. Okay, so let's go there. It's actually new Java props mapper. Put class. Okay, now I have read value. This is the method that I need to use. See, it is asking for where is the file, the property file, and what is the class I need to convert this. Okay, so we're going to have a key value pass in the property files. We're going to map it to a Pojo, right? So the file, I'll create a new file, and the file location is basically inside SRC test resources. So I'm again using CWD, which means get current working directory. Again, this is a live template that I have created, so I don't have to really type all these things, right? That's a cool thing. Okay, now I go create SRC test resources. Okay, it's a very big, so let's minimize this resources, and inside that I also have config folder. Say that I have config.properties. Okay, very long, but still okay. And then at the end of the day, once this is done, I also need to tell what is the class name that I need to map this to. So framework properties.config. Okay, class. Okay, this is fine. Showing some error. Let's introduce a new local variable here. Yeah, this is returning me framework properties. So I think it throws highway exception. again, there are different ways to handle it. Either you throw the exception, in the method signature, but when you throw this in the method signature, it will go back to the caller. So it'll clutter your methods. So what you can do, you can cover it with the try catch block. So what you can do, you can go to more action, and then you can try it, surround with try catch. But again, when there is a file that is not found, okay, when there is a file that is not found, what is the reason that I have to continue the program? So this will catch the exception, and then it will go, and then it will do something else, right? So when there is a file that is not available, I need to stop the program. I don't want to continue. I don't want to. Either what you can do, you can throw new runtime exception. Okay, this is something that you can do, or you can just let the you can just throw the exception back to the caller. So either you do this, wrap the checked exception into an and then throw it as an unchecked exception, or here I also want to show about sneaky throws which I normally use. So instead of doing all these things, okay, I remove all this. Okay, so again it will throw error. So this time, okay, there is also option. See, I have added lombok, so it is telling add annotate method get configure sneaky throws. Okay, just do this. Now what happens, it's almost similar like you throwing this throws IO exception. Okay, it's almost same as that. Okay, it is same as that. Instead of doing this, we are doing this. So advantage is, you don't have to clutter your methods with exception signatures. Okay, I have seen people having methods with a lot of exception in their signatures, right? So that's spoils the readability. Use sneaky throws. Again, what sneaky throws does is, okay, Java compiler is the one that is forcing us to do, do a try catch block, do this, do that. All these things is a problem with Java compiler, but JVM doesn't bother about all these things. Okay, so what this sneaky throws does is, it just basically uh, cheating your Java compiler. Okay, you can say like that. Okay, yeah, maybe we can cover that in another day, but for now, we are sneakily throwing that exception, so I don't have to clutter my method signatures or add try catch blocks. Again, I don't need this because my code is already more readable. Okay, so everything is done. So now I can basically return this, right? Again, I don't need these unnecessary spaces are always problematic. Okay, so I can basically write like this, right? So this is fine. Now uh, let's check whether this is working. Okay, to check whether this is working, instead of actually using it in a testng.xml, what good approach is, you can create a runner class. Okay, um, this is for testing purpose, right? So you don't have to really know use that for testing. So what I normally do is I create a runner, I'll create a static method or a test-ng test, and then I'll try to run it from here. Okay, what I need to do, I have implemented a new property, file reader impl dot get config dot, and then you have get base URL, whatever you want. Okay, I want the base URL, and then I can print it. Let's see whether it is working. So this is working. So this is fine. So for JSON, again, we need to provide the implementation. So what we can do for JSON, we can use Jackson data mine directly. So there is an object mapper class. Most of you would have used this. Okay, only the previous one might be strange for you, but this one you would be used to it. So new object mapper, and inside object mapper there is a method called read value. Again, and the same thing. Okay, you just need to pass the file location. Okay, the file location is again cwd plus src resources. Again, we would have extracted this particular resources path into a constant file, but for time being, I'm not doing it. Okay, you can do it. Again, say resources, there is config folder. Okay, and I need to get framework properties dot class. Okay, and I can sneakily throw this, sneaky throws and return. Okay, you can wrap this whole thing in the return statement. That's absolutely fine. Or if you want to basically extract it as a local variable, you can do it. But when I write this, it will work. Okay, but basically for someone who is coming new to the thing, they might not understand what it's exactly returning. So basically, they know from the method signature they can understand basically returns framework properties, but still, for me, readability is more important. So you can basically extract it as a local variable, and you can return the local variable. So it's more okay. It's okay. Whatever you feel that's suitable for you, you can do that. But for me, this is more readable and understandable. So I'll go with this. Okay, good guys. So now if I go back and to the runner, if I want to test this as well, whether this is working. So new JSON file reader impl dot get config dot get password. Okay, dot so. Okay, now I have this file as well. So if you haven't seen this file, so just username and password I have here. This is just for demo purpose how we can use this. Okay, let's go here and run it again. Let's see whether anything, you can use anything. Okay, now it's telling, so you cannot unrecognized field username. Okay, why it is telling like this? Because there is no username field. Okay, okay, so this is basically user email. Okay, okay, it will try to exactly match this. Okay, if we go to properties, okay, it will try to exactly match this. Okay, let's try to check now whether this is working. Okay, now this is exactly matched. Okay, so good. So this is working fine, absolutely fine. Now what is the problem then? Why we need to go for owner again? And with owner, one advantage is if you want to basically get list of properties, list of string. Okay, you want to have a different types as well. Okay, you can do that. Okay, and for default value, suppose here in the JSON, the there is one field that is missing, that is base URL. If it is missing, I want to use a default one. Okay, so that's not possible, right? That's not possible even if you use Pojo, right? So if I go here and then use instead of this, get base URL. Okay, what are going to return me? Let's see what's going to return, because in the JSON I don't have it. So if there is not, so it will throw null. Okay, so that's the problem, right? If you want a default value, if it is not present, then you can go for owner. Again, the reason why I want to cover owner here is if I implement owner, it's going to be a little tricky. So we can also understand what is a marker interface, how we can use marker interface in your test automation framework. Okay, I want to cover what is a marker interface as well. So I prefer sometimes to use marker interface. Sometimes I don't prefer it. Okay, it just based on the use case. Okay, so it has to be used very carefully. So what we can do, one thing is I see the names are little not good. So we should try to find a better name. JSON file reader impl. Okay, uh, maybe what I can do is basically I can refactor this as JSON reader impl. Okay, okay, or JSON reader, it's more readable. Okay, just try out different names, guys. Okay, or you can use shortcuts as well. Alt Shift and R that I use. Property file reader, because I see these are you know again you can also use impl, that's no problem. And it's also good if I club them together into one package. Okay, so the package is maybe the reader. Okay, and I'll club these three things together into here, right? So it's good. Now anyone can understand this. These are all interrelated, and they use a Pojo called as framework properties. Again, this framework properties is basically can make it as framework config. Okay, good. So this is a local variable name, so I can basically do framework config. Good guys. So this looks much better than before. So what I'm thinking about is how can we implement owner library? And I hope you all have seen my videos on owner library, how we can use that for effective property file reading. If you haven't do that, please do watch that before watching this video. I'll leave the link in the description, right? So what I'm going to do, I'll go to the pom.xml. And I'll add the owner. Once this is added, let's close all the tabs. And so I need to have, for owner, I need to have an interface. Okay, owner is something little tricky. So let's go here, create an interface. You need to create an interface called as take a property reader. Okay, this is an interface, and you need to extend. Okay, there is a fold interface called as config from owner. So I'm using it. And so guys, I'm trying, see, we would have left in in the like in the previous state itself. That's good. Okay, you can use, everything is set. Even it is extensible, no problem. But this is just I'm trying. Okay, how can I use marker interface, or how can I use owner library instead of Jackson data formatter? Okay, this is just a try. I don't know whether this will work, but I'm just trying out. Okay, just a thought from my mind. I didn't even prepare for this. Let's see whether it is working. Okay, so what I can try is basically it has to return string base URL. Okay, it should be a method, something like this. String user email, string password. Okay, that's good. And I need to also mention the path where this is located. I think the sources. Okay, it's value. File, and then I need to mention the current user directory location, that is user.dir, and then src/test/resource config/config.properties. Okay, again guys, for the summary is, instead of using this property reader, okay, here I am using Java props mapper. Instead of this, I want to use owner. Okay, that's the only thing. If you're comfortable using this, please use this. Okay, the only reason we are using it, if you want to set some default value on missing values, this owner library has certain features. Okay, where if you want to club a lot of property files together, then also you can use this. But that might not be applicable in case of if you use Jackson Java props mapper class. Okay, so that's the only reason. Otherwise you can leave at that particular stage. Okay, now this is fine. So what I can do, but I need to see, this time it's a little tricky. Okay, I cannot use framework config, because if I use framework config, okay, I cannot map it here to the property reader input. Okay, or I should basically name it as property config. Okay, so I cannot, I have to basically return this. Okay, but okay, first let's see whether this is working. Okay, let's go to the runner, and then let's see. Okay, instead of doing this both the things, what I'm going to do, there is something called as config factory dot create. You need to mention which class you want. So I want a property config dot class. Okay, once you do this, it will give you back that particular instance. So I can basically use dot cbs url. Okay, that's it. Dot so let's see whether this is working. Okay, before we implement that, I'm doing step by step, guys. That's very important. So this is also printing. So this is how the owner library works. You need to map it to an interface, and then it will automatically take the value. Okay, if something is not present, you can provide some default values. Okay, let's assume if I go to the configured properties, and let me remove the password. Okay, let's assume I don't have the password. So what I can do, I can go to property config and at the rate default value. Okay, you can give the default value. Okay, the password is, let's say, admin. You can do this. Okay, so it should work, but this time it will take the password as admin. Okay, let's go to the runner, and instead of the base URL, you can do password. Instead of null, it'll gonna give you the password admin. So yeah, this is how it works. Now what I want to do, I want to use this in the implementation. Okay, I want to replace this. Actually, I don't want this, I want that. But if I try to replace this, okay, so let's remove that. Config factory dot create and property config dot class. Okay, so this is returning me a property config. Okay, I need to return framework config. Okay, so how will I do this? Okay, so there is a tricky situation. I cannot do, how can I convert this property config to framework config? Okay, you run a for loop and then you take out all the values, checking whether this is equal to, matching that. No, it's very complicated. So I cannot do this. So that's when your so I need a class. So I need a class or an interface that is super class to this framework config, and then this property config. So what I can do, um, I create one more. So it's little tricky, guys, but okay. It's take it as I want to have a class that is parent class for all these things. Okay, property reader framework config. I already named something as framework config. Okay, or this one I should name it different. Okay, framework config is fine, but this is property config. I'll have JSON config. Just a minute, I'm just thinking. Okay, guys, I just thought through the name. See, this particular framework config is needed only for if I want to use JSON. Okay, so because I can convert a JSON directly to this. Okay, but when I use property files, I cannot use this. I have to basically use the one that we have created now. Okay, that is basically this. Right, this is a property config. So let me first move this out. Okay, to the properties folder. Okay, and here we have framework config, property config. So instead of this framework config, this is actually it's better to name this as JSON config. Okay, because for mapping the JSON only I need this. Okay, for mapping the property I need this. So I need a super interface to manage both of these. Okay, so let's go here and create one more interface. The reason I'm creating interfaces, I want to have multiple levels. Okay, if you use a abstract class, you cannot achieve that. So I have framework config. Okay, guys, so this interface that's not going to have anything, so we call it as marker interface. It just, okay, for us going to be helping us to define the return type. That's it. So this is a marker interface. Okay, we are going to use that. So property config extending, it's not only going to extend config, it's also going to extend one more interface that is called as framework config. Okay, this is framework config. That's the default one. Okay, that's fine. And we also have JSON config that's also going to extends your framework config. Okay, there is one problem. Good. So now if I go to the iConfig reader, instead of JSON config, what I'm going to do, I'm going to return framework config. Okay, and JSON reader is going to return JSON config. Property reader is going to return property config. So here I'm going to return property config. Okay, that's it, guys. Very simple. So I'll go through this again. Okay, I want to remove all the unused imports, so I can click on this project folder and press Control Shift and O. So it will remove all the unused imports. So first I have one interface that is defining, okay, whatever the property file or JSON file, YAML file you want to use, you use any of these. At the end of the day, I want the return type of framework config. Okay, so this framework config doesn't have anything. It's a marker interface. Okay, so this framework config is basically written, extended by two other things. Okay, one is JSON config if you want to use JSON. Okay, sorry guys, it should not extend this. It should implement an interface. Okay, okay, good. So now this JSON config is implementing this. So this becomes a subtype of this. Okay, now property config is if you want to use interface, owner library, they are telling you need to use interface. That's why we are extending this config. Then only they are doing all the mapping. You can leverage all these things. Okay, so it's also extending framework config. So this also becomes subtype of this. Now, if you want to even add one more, you can create YAML config and then extend the framework config. Okay. Now, if you go to the JSON reader, you read the JSON and return a JSON config. So this actually is a subtype of your the framework config, right? So you can also have a framework config here, right? That shouldn't be a problem. Okay, and in here also you can have return type as framework config. Okay, so that they all returning one thing. Okay, good. So if you want to add one more, so you want to use YAML instead of this, so what you have to do, you can go and create a new reader class that is YAML reader, and this going to basically implement iConfig reader. Okay, and at the end of the day, you need to return framework config. Okay, you do whatever the operation you want, but you can return it. So I cannot return framework config directly because that's a marker interface. So what I do, I create one more config, that is I go here, I create YAML config that basically implementing your framework config. Okay, you can provide your logic here. Okay, if you want to map it to a Pojo, you can add your Pojo topics here and then you can return it. Okay, that's how it operates, right, in real time. Okay, so this is all about it, guys. So let's go to the runner, and this is working. Let's also check whether the JSON is working. So if you want to use JSON, you have to use new JSON reader. Okay, instead of this, okay, don't do this. So, a new property reader dot, you cannot directly use it. Okay, you have to use like this, dot get config dot, let's go here. This get config is basically, it should basically, sorry guys, it should basically get property. Okay, so user email. Yeah, good. The same way, if you go to the JSON config, JSON reader, okay, good guys. You want to use this new JSON reader dot get config dot get base your. Okay, that's how it is, guys. Okay, good. Let's try to run it one last time. So this is how really developers creating their code. Okay, we only using all the static methods, doing all the unnecessary stuff and doing it. But yeah, so the maybe the get base URL is not available there. That's why it's printing this. So that's the problem with directly mapping, right? So I can basically print something else. So this is how real developers code. Okay, they have options for everything. But for now, I'm going to use only property file. So what are all stuff that I need to remove? So I'll remove this. Okay, yes, this is not needed. YAML reader is not needed. So let me delete it. I have just created this for fun, guys. Okay, YAML reader, this one, both of them are not needed. If they want, they can create whenever they need. Okay, Control D, and let's go to the runner. All things are removed. Yeah, all things are removed here as well. So Control Shift and O. Yeah, all good. So this is how you need to use. Now I have only this, and this. Okay, everything is fine. So we'll see how we can replace this with, we can create a service layer in between, and then we'll try to use that in our code. Okay, that we can cover it in another great video. Thank you guys for listening to me. You all have a very good day. Tada, bye bye.